What's going on, guys? You know what night it is. Thursday night, off-centered with Dustin. This is going to be a very special live stream tonight because it's also cards and cake. And even though they kind of screwed me on that thin slice of double chocolate, look how big the red velvet is. Check this out. Look at that. That is a slice of cake right there. So I can't wait to get this over with and eat some cake. I'm just kidding. Let me say hi to some of you guys. First, we got David Hunter in the house. What's up, man? And thanks so much for contributing on the email. JJ Bama, good to see you, bro. Sports Cards Anonymous, good to see you, Dakota. Michael Ham, Mike C, always the first one to comment. Can of mackerel. That sounds delicious. Yeah, I don't know about wisdom. I mean, we'll give it our all, but can't say it's wisdom. Matt, good to see you. Prodigy Card Collector. Michael Merlin Peck. Are cards dying? Absolutely not. We'll talk about that, but obviously it's a different dynamic now than a couple months ago, but I think there's a lot of legit reasons why, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is just a low period and it goes back up. Maybe not as crazy as we've seen in the past, but I think it's just fine. All right. Here's the thing. I have taken it off, but I got to give a shout out to the show locator on Instagram. His name is Donald, and he gifted me this Tom Brady jersey, which to me, I think is like such a cool, for one, I didn't have a Tom Brady Bucks jersey or a Rob Gronkowski one, and he gave this to me at the Dallas show, which is like a dream come true. What's up, Matt? Before I bring on my regular guest, not very special, a couple of things I want to point out is I do have an Instagram. I'm trying to be more active on it, but it's the Comeback Card Investor on Instagram. I'll throw the little banner up. And then also, that is the show locator's Instagram. I'll throw that there for a couple minutes. If you're looking for a local show in Florida, in Canada, in wherever, check his Instagram out. It's a good place to just get that information. Other thing is the 15K box break of Prism Football got pushed back to June 15th. I actually was not sure if I was going to hit 15,000 subs by May 25th, which was the original date. And so I asked them to push it back. So it's going to be June 15th, and I believe at 6 or 7 p.m. I'll try to stream it on YouTube. But if you want a shot at a spot of the free break, it is through Whatnot. So Whatnot is like the QVC of sports cards. If you sign up for Whatnot, you'll at least have a better shot because when I release the instructions, it's going to be first come, first serve. And those that are on my newsletter will get a 5-minute head start. That's it. After 5 minutes, it'll be posted here. So again, feel free to sign up for the newsletter, the Comeback Card Investor. And with that being said, let me bring on the special guest, Black Office Chair. Dustin?
I'm getting on it live.
Dustin, you running back? Dude, there's a bit of toilet paper that was hanging off the bottom of your shirt.
Had to flush.
Oh, man, nice. Yes. How was it?
Oh, I feel a lot better now. I mean, I didn't eat three bowls of Chipotle like you did, but I think I'm good.
Man, dude, that's the best feeling. And, you know, if you guys saw that video, the vlog video, making fun of Dustin and showing how much I could eat, I actually pride myself on my appetite. And so a lot of you guys don't know this, but up in San Jose, there's a place called Iguanas, and it's right by one of the colleges in San Jose. I saw this place on a show called Man vs. Food about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer than that. And there's a 5-pound burrito where if you eat the entire burrito without going to the bathroom, there's no time limit, but if you do this, you get a free T-shirt. And
that's it.
I was so tempted to do this that the first time I was in San Jose, I split it with a friend, and I thought 2.5 pounds was too easy. And then I did all 5 pounds the second time in only 25 minutes. And that was before a work shift. So in case some of you guys don't believe I can eat all of this cake in one sitting, plus everything else, go watch that video because I could put food down.
Yeah, but you're also an intermittent faster too. So I mean, I think that's important to kind of specify because look, if you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then having the cake, but you're like not eating for like 3 days and then diving in.
Okay, yeah. To be fair, I do intermittent fast, and I'm a huge proponent? Is that the word? I know.
Proponent.
proponent. I was going to say advocate, but proponent of intermittent fasting. It works wonders for me. Plus, you look skinny earlier in the day, and then you look really fat when you're going to bed and no one cares. But anyway, man, welcome to the live stream.
Thanks for having me. I almost didn't make it.
Well, I was going to say, you hop on like 3 minutes before. I always have to be like, oh, man, who am I going to make fun of if Dustin's actually not here to receive it? But, dude, we met for the first time last weekend, and it was an amazing time overall. But I want to say, like, a couple days later, what are your takeaways from your first Dallas show experience?
I thought it was awesome all the way around. I mean, not only was it a great show, I mean, I thought the show was awesome. I mean, it was jam-packed. It was very busy, a lot of activity. And then, yeah, you got to, you saw a lot of people that, you met online or whatever, and not even just you guys. I mean, it was, you, Steve, Boris, but also, dealers and stuff that I recognized. And then also people that watch the shows too. Well, that was really cool. Honestly, it's kind of weird when people walk up to you and say like, hey, I watch your show, because it doesn't seem like a real thing that we do this and people actually watch it.
Did anyone do that to you? Did anyone actually approach you and recognize you?
Yeah. They were like, hey, you're that guy that's always on Brad's show, right?
you're that punching bag on Brad's channel, right? Dude, I will say that was the coolest thing. And you were going to make fun of me about not buying any real cards at the show, which you're going to continue to do.
The comeback card investor didn't buy any cards at the show.
Yeah, because here's the thing. The only cards I bought at the actual show were the Lonzo Ball cards, which were gag gifts for Jeff, sports card investor, for that video. Besides that, I was looking at football, and same thing. Like, I did not see much football. Did you see? Like, what was the split for you? The ratios.
Are you talking about what was for sale there?
Yeah, what was for sale?
I mean, it felt like every single table had a showcase full of monster cards in it. I've never seen more Justin Herbert cards in my entire life. Everybody brought their Justin Herberts. Every dealer was ready to move their Herbert stuff in all levels. It could be a $10 Herbert, could have been a $10,000 Herbert. That they were out for sure. No, I mean, I saw quite a bit of football. I saw a lot of basketball. What I did not see is a lot. Yeah. Hey, Javi Champs. I know. I was trying to tell everybody, like, hey, I'm a Saints. Are you a Saints fan? We're always trying to find each other. Other Saints fans. Like, do you have to be a
difficult? Because it's so difficult. Because it
is. Well, you know what? Actually, it's hard to find Saints fans that are long-time Saints fans. There's like the people like that have been a Saints fan for like 5 years or 10 years or whatever. I'm talking about like, the rough years. It's hard to find those people.
Well, one thing on the Saints real quick is that I'm not a Saints fan. Obviously, I'm a Bucs fan, but I am a fan of Drew Brees and Sean Payton, because both of them are actually Sigma Chi's, which was my fraternity in college. So that was like a cool little bond, but go on.
Yeah, thanks for that. Like, who cares, Brad? Who cares about that? Anyway,
I just wanted to ruin your train of thought, really.
Yeah. Okay. How do I like come off of that? All right. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of basketball, a lot of football. The one thing that I didn't see a lot of was vintage cards. Now, I mean, there was some there, and there was some really nice vintage baseball that I saw. And I saw like, Lou Alcindor rookies. I saw some Pete Maravich stuff, but I did not see very much vintage. If you compare it to, I mean, it was literally like, I would say like 90 from what I saw. Now, look, maybe it wasn't in the showcase. Maybe it was behind the stand or something. But it was like 90-10 to me. It was like 90% modern, ultra modern. And, and baseball cards in general, I saw baseball, but again, it wasn't even to me, from what I saw, I didn't see near as much as football and basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I didn't see much vintage. It all makes sense, though, when you think of what would people want to sell. If you had everything, I'd be like, well, I'd want to sell playoff basketball and anything else basketball related, because it's not going to get, especially the modern stuff's not going to get hotter as time goes on up until next year. So I'd want to liquidate that now. But yeah, I saw every player that is in the playoffs there's tons of them. The Herberts I saw a ton of. Tuas I saw a good amount of, but I didn't see the guys that I was targeting, which is Mahomes. I didn't see many Mahomes. I did see a couple Tom Brady rookie cards. And heads up, on my newsletter, the Bowman base in my PSA 8 has actually dropped to a pretty good price. I think around $1,000, which it's a price I'd like look into for myself. But if you have those charts or you want access to it or something, just check out that card, because I actually think that Bowman from Tom Brady is actually one of his better looking cards, since he has a lot of really ugly rookie cards. But it's like the only time that I'm seeing some of these players at prices I would entertain, but they didn't have many of those cards in Dallas. And that's why I didn't buy anything except for that Dak Prescott, which I bought on eBay, I think Friday night. But, you know.
We were at a card show with the 10 million cards, and Brad bought a card off of eBay.
Because there's probably even more of those cards on eBay than 10 million. And you know what, to be fair, I think this is the thing that kind of sucks. That, like, I'm a very organized person. I'm very efficient minded. I'm a Virgo. So it's like, I want efficiency. I want to be able to look at a directory of all the dealers and a highlight of their cards ahead of time, so I know exactly who to go to. Because when you think of how easy it is to search for a card on any platform, it is just seconds away. And if you're looking for a specific card at a card show with zero organization, it's like I could spend the first day looking for a card, and by the time I find the vendor that would have it, he may have sold it an hour before. So
yeah, kind of speaking on the back of that, the one thing that I found that was tough is I had a plan as far as I had an idea of what cards I wanted to target there, but like that Booker card that I bought, that was one that just popped up that was like, like I haven't seen that one before, but it wasn't even on my radar, because it wasn't. First off, the price point I thought was going to be higher than where I got it. And so I wasn't even thinking about it. And so that's the thing that happened at that show that was interesting. With all of the more scarce stuff that they had in the modern, ultra modern side, there was cards there that you don't see every day. You don't see them every day on eBay even. You know, it's not like base rookie cards, and not even just base rookie cards, but colored stuff like a blue velocity optic rookie that's fairly common, let's just say. You know, there was definitely some more rare stuff that you don't really see a whole lot of, where there's like population 50 and you're like, when did these ever sell? Oh, they don't sell very much. And there was cards like that were popping up at the show.
Yeah. And that actually brings up a good point, because it's like, for one, if these cards are more expensive, yeah, you could reach a bigger pool of people on eBay, but at the same time, there's benefits to just keeping it local and doing these cash exchanges and whatnot. But also, you know, if it's a card you want and it's only a pop 30, pop 50, something like that, and you want it right now because you feel like now is the time that it would be low, well, the next time it's on eBay could be 3 months from now when it's at a pretty high price. So, I mean, maybe it makes more sense to look at eBay for either more common cards that are at a low price, where it's like, all right, it's a Prism 10, it's a silver, it's something like that, where, you know, at this time of year, this player I can snag on eBay. Because some people, like, I don't even do buy it nows on eBay much, just because usually the buy it nows are really high. But when I see the auction and the auction ends at a Tuesday morning, I'm like, all right, Tuesday morning, there's 5 of those auctions at the same time. This is the low period. This is the card I want. I would have a much better chance of getting that card at a good deal, in my opinion, than from a vendor who obviously wants to make money and not sell at rock bottom prices, and is probably smart enough to not sell a card during the lowest point for that player, or perhaps the lowest point. So I like the idea of a combination. I'd like eBay for some, local for others, but whatever the lowest price is on the card I want, I'll have to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, and I said in a video too, kind of as my reaction, there's some cards that are a better deal on eBay. There's some cards that are a better deal in person at the show. The one big card that Flipping Steve had got, that Marino Manning auto that he got, that was on eBay, buy it now for $4,000, and it was tagged up at the show for $2,200.
Wow.
And then he negotiated off of that. So I think that's where, of course, there's a benefit to both sides of it, I think, you know, just depending, you know, I mean, and you're right, kind of where the market is right now, eBay auctions, you can, I mean, I've seen some cards sell on eBay auctions, you know, that were low, but you know what, too? There was a couple of cards I was targeting at the show, and there was eBay auctions that were pretty low yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a look at these, and I'm going to get a steal on this compared to what it was at the show. And it ended up being, there was a card that I'd walked away from that I wish I hadn't walked away from, and then it's actually
mention it.
What's that?
You want to mention the card, or are you still looking for it?
I'm still looking for it, but you know what? I'll be able to get it later. It's a Luca Blue Velocity Optic rookie. I just like that, and it was a PSA 9.
Blue. And
blue. It's blue. Yeah, it's color match. And it's a PSA 9. It's not a huge pop count, but they're out there. They're out. It's not like 50. I think there's I don't know, 500 of them or something maybe.
That's a good number though. Like I like 500 of something now. Compared to 18,000.
I can still get it. Yeah. But the thing is, the guy had priced me at $500 and
for a 9, for a PSA 9
for a 9. And the comp, right. The comp, if we're using eBay, and I was using, data tools was right at about 575. And I was like, you know what, I'll think about it. I'll come back. Cause I just didn't want to just spend $500, wanted to think about it and go see what else was around. And 30 minutes later it was gone. And then the auction that I saw the other day, I think it was yesterday, today, ended at like 550. And then you have, shipping, taxes, all the rest of it, to pay as well. So, that's an example of like, that it's not a given that you get a better deal on eBay, and it's not a given that you get a better deal at the show.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's like a combination of everything, as long as it matches the goal. But even in terms of selling, I'm like, I think what I want to do is sell at shows locally and have the same listing on eBay. Because the one thing I think about is that if it's a Monday and there's big news in the NFL and the next card show is on Saturday, that means there's 5 days until that show. But you know how news works. It's like major trade. You got 8 hours, maybe 8 hours to sell that card at the maximum before it cools off and another headline comes in and replaces it. So I wouldn't want to wait 5 days for the card show for something that is so time sensitive that I know it needs to be on eBay right now. I need to make my profit. I need to get out. I don't want to risk waiting a couple days. So I'm all on that. All right. So a couple questions I did see. Good to see you, Ziggy. Yeah, I saw a couple comments in there. Good to see you. I think Theta Beta was my chapter. It's at USF. Yeah, Theta Beta. In terms of, there's a couple things on Optic, a couple things on Optic Hollow from Matt as well. And I mentioned this. I
did get a Donovan Mitchell Optic Hollow rookie PSA 10 for just over $400, which I thought was a really good price. That card's been as high as 800. And I know Donovan Mitchell's he's like the guy that doesn't get any love. He plays for the Jazz. They're the one seed that no one thinks is going to win anything, and maybe they won't. Maybe the Jazz will get bounced. But if they do anything, if Donovan Mitchell came in and looked great yesterday, kind of saved the day, that was just a comfortable price for me on those. Those hollows can get expensive.
Well, here's the thing. I remember having a post on a Zion Optic Hollow PSA 10, and I forgot the exact numbers, but it was something like a third of the price as Prism Silver and a third of the population of Prism Silver. So it's really a ninth of the overall market cap, right? Like, wouldn't that be a ninth of the market cap of a Prism Silver? And I think what we're noticing now, and we don't have to dive into what we're noticing in the whole market just yet, but we're seeing cards leave PSA. We're seeing people jump into NFTs and just spending money elsewhere and crypto and everything else, where the supply side is getting pretty high on a lot of cards. Not every card. And we saw that Gretzky sell for $3.75 million today. I think it was today or yesterday. And so not everything is getting overpopulated, but the more this happens, the more the Optic Hollow, I think, is the card that I'm going to start targeting, and maybe the other parallels, because when I look at how low the price is for how low the pop is, and the fact that Optic is still a pretty well-received product. It's not like Mosaic Silver, which, nothing against Mosaic, but if you look at the data, no one seems to like Mosaic. Like, they like it, if you're ripping wax, it's like, hey, Mosaic, it's great. But then when you take a look at what it's selling for, you're like, man, I can get a Zion Mosaic base card on ComC for $22, right? So, I mean, all right, got to throw up Dex Flow. Dex, appreciate the super chat. You
got
are
distracted.
Channel funded. Now that you've confirmed, isn't it?
Brad's late on the electricity bill, so thank you, Dex.
Yeah, I appreciate it. and I don't have the AC running. I'm trying to milk that as long as I can.
Brad, why are you sweating and why are the lights flickering?
Totally worth it. I'm saving 54 cents right now.
Like everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Totally cool. I have my refrigerator's open. This is perfect. So here's the thing. I posted that picture of Dustin looking taller than me, and the amount of people that actually thought you were a foot taller than me was surprising, because I thought it was obvious that it was, just staged. And then people are like, wow, Dustin's huge. Da, da, da. Like, Brad, are you 5'6"? Like, hell no, man. How tall are you, Dustin?
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, you're like 5'9", 5'9".
I'm 5'8". I'm a hair over 6 foot, but you're like 6'6". You're like a praying mantis.
6'3".
You're like a praying mantis in real life.
I'm 6'3". Dude, Grumpy Card Dude, we were just talking about you right before, and you changed your name. It was like, wasn't a DJ Grumpy Card Guy or something? Do you remember, Dustin?
Oh, no, I thought it was just Grumpy Card Guy.
Yeah, okay, maybe now it's Dude, but all right, good to see you, unless you're a different person, unless there's two grumpy people here. Okay, and then there was a comment here by Charles, I think something about the medium Tom Brady jersey, and I like the muscle look, all right? I like the muscle look. It's snug. It feels good. There it is.
Yeah, Brad wears shirts that are like tight around his arms, but then they're like midriffs. I'm like, I just think the length is a little bit off, Brad.
Here's the thing, I gotta even out the tan lines. All right, gotta keep tan. So, all right. So, any takeaways from Dallas? Like, what's your overall, 1 or 2 line takeaway from your whole experience in Texas?
I don't know. I thought it was great. I think it was hard to get, there's a lot of kind of snap judgments on what the market was like in Dallas. And really it's hard to tell because there was a ton of people in the room. And I think it's hard to say like, oh, there was only trading being done. There wasn't any cash being spent. I doubt that was the case. I just think there was a lot of activity, however you slice it. And I'm sure that it was probably a good show for a lot of people. So, but I did see, of course, like people trying to trade up and things like that, but I doubt that's any different than any other show. That's probably pretty typical at shows. So I don't have any real snap judgment as far as kind of, this is kind of where the market is now and there's no cash coming in. I wouldn't say that necessarily. I think that's hard to say. The room was huge. It was packed with people. So there's no one person that can really say, what was going on, the entire show. And it was busy from Thursday through Sunday. Even like I heard some people saying, because that was my first Dallas show, I heard other people that have gone to that show before, that Thursday is a fairly slow day. You come in, you get set up, but it was not slow when we got there. And I didn't get there. The first night was like 6 to 9 p.m. I think is what they ran it at, and I got there maybe like 7:30, and it was busy from 7:30 to 9 to 8:30. So and that was people just and half the people hadn't even set up yet. So I think it was a good mix. I thought it was very positive. I mean, what did you take away from it, Brad?
Well, okay, here's the thing. I can't compare this to any other major show just because that was our first Dallas experience. So if you think of 2.5 months ago, the Dallas show prior, I forgot the exact dates, but that might be March, like somewhere in March or late February. That was a really, really busy time for movement and prices going up. So I could imagine this time compared to last, seems like there's not a lot of money being exchanged and sales and whatnot, but there was a lot of cameras, there was a lot of people, and my goal was to meet people and to connect because I knew I could buy on eBay, I could sell on eBay, I could buy locally, because living in a big city, you have more options on a week-to-week basis. So especially if I'm not looking for these super rare cards, but even so, LA would be the place where there's a lot of rare cards anyway.
I mean, you could operate solely at like Burbank, where you are at Burbank Cards with all the cards they've got. You could literally just go to that one place and probably be fine.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm like, look, I can go for specific cards here, but my backyard is perhaps the best sports card mecca in the US, like arguably at least. So I knew that this was the first time meeting you, meeting Flipping Steve. I've met Boris once. I haven't met Jeff before. And then there were a lot of other people, and then a lot of people in our community that popped up. And I said, I got back into this hobby in February of 2020 because I was looking to connect to my childhood. That was like the number one thing, is I want to feel like a kid again, because I've lost that completely. That was the first thing that drew me in. Then when the investing and everything else came together, it was just perfect. But when I went there, it was connect as much as possible, invest in relationships, just, from an enjoyable standpoint, but obviously from a business standpoint as well. So I had Jeff on one of my videos, and we did a pack battle, which was the worst boxes in perhaps all of Texas. However, hopefully that will be edited into a nice video. And I look at that cost as an investment in.
I can't wait for Jeff to edit you completely out of it.
He puts
like, we did a pack break, and you're like in the background, like,
He puts your face on my body.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, even going forward at the shows, maybe at the National, I saw Ziggy ask the next show I'll go to. I have to go to the National. It's too big of an opportunity to pass up. So definitely going there. You're going as well. You already booked your room.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. We're gonna go. My wife and I are gonna go to it. It's gonna be a lot more low key because, like what you were saying, this was more of kind of a networking show in Dallas and seeing people. This one will be more. I'm not gonna work at that show. I'm just gonna kind of enjoy myself. Yeah, we'll take some footage of each. Talk a little bit, but it'll be very low key, I think, in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know what opportunities are going to be there. I don't know how much bigger of a stage. And like, I think Gary Vee tweeted he was going to be there, right? It was not like a tweet, Gary Vee's. So it's one of those things where, as a content creator, as someone that's taking this as a full-time, in a full-time way, or, that's serious, I've got to be there. But
can we make a video that's like us awkwardly trying to meet Gary Vee?
Yes.
Can we do that?
Gary, just
like his security throws us out.
Turns out Gary's a very nice guy, but his security team, they're a nightmare.
Yeah, his security team was no joke.
Yeah. But same here, though. I'll sell, I might bring cards if I get one of my PSA submissions back. And because it'll be football time, end of July, early August, I might bring my football cards to sell. But the priority is just meet people, footage, and whatever else. So my takeaway was, dude, if you guys saw the video, I had a great time because what I wanted from the show, I got. And what I got was meeting the people that I've only interacted with on YouTube and on Instagram and wherever else for the last year, finally. So it was more like a family reunion than any sort of business conference.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was networking for sure. Let me answer Carlos real quick because he's asked it a couple different times. He was asking about that Booker courtside 9 that I bought. Yeah, the courtside silver. I'm kind of torn on it because it is something, of course, if the Suns go to the finals or something, I think that card could get a bump. But I'm also okay just holding it. And that's really where I've been with a lot of my buys with particular players. I think Booker's 24 years old or something. So I take more of a long-term approach with a lot of my buys, especially over the last 6 months. So not that I don't sell anything, but I'm kind of on the fence with it. If the Suns win the championship or they're in the finals and it triples or something, then I'll probably sell it. But if it doesn't happen like that, I'm okay just kind of holding on to it too. I just like him. And I'm looking at, like, my horizon is kind of like within 5 years. I think that Booker will be relevant for the next 5 years and probably longer. But I'm okay just holding on to it if needed.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the same type of philosophy I like, where I'll get Mahomes and Brady if I can right now, because no matter what happens this year, if Mahomes gets injured and is out the entire year, that would suck. It'd be horrible, but he'll be back. And Tom Brady, his legacy is already there. I just, I like the idea of short-term upside, long-term insurance policy, or just multiple chances. In terms of the Beckett dinner, I saw a couple of questions there. It was good. It was really good. It was cool because it was just a panel, or like a open seating with about 25 to 30 people. And there were a couple, few minutes for introductions, and then a couple questions that we were all participating in. Very casual, but it's something that I thought was cool. And hopefully, Dustin, you'll be able to make it to the next one. I know you had like an issue that night or something you had to do. But yeah, from the dinner, what did I learn? Well, Dustin didn't learn a damn thing because he wasn't there.
I couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know.
What did you learn, Brad?
I don't know.
Did you talk the whole time, or did you let other people talk?
I talked the entire time, so it was hard to learn. I learned that people really are interested in what I have to say. That's it. That's what I mean. Look, we all discuss different topics. Content creators were there asking about struggles creating content and how they can do it better. What's going on in the market, blah 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 blah. But it's really good just because it's a bunch of people that have been in the hobby for a lot longer than me, answering a lot of these questions. And of course, Dr. James Beckett was a great host, very generous, and also surprisingly funny. If you haven't heard, I think he has a really good sense of humor. Okay, so in terms of the Wayne Gretzky sale, any thoughts on that? I saw that earlier today. I thought it was cool that it sold for like 3 times more than the prior sale, and obviously it gives me confidence in the card market, at least on that high-end level. But any other insight?
I was surprised to see it go that high. It just seems like the high end of the market is very, very high. The highest end. I shouldn't say the high end. It's like the top 0.001% of cards are, and I'm not talking about like that 86 Fleer Jordan rookie card PSA 10. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the stuff that's more scarce, like that Gretzky. That Gretzky OPG is a pop 2. And so it's like, it's like the 1 of 1 or 1 of 2, I suppose. It's just like the price is whatever somebody wants to pay for it. So it really kind of is. It could go as high as anybody is willing to pay because it's like art. Art, when art sells for crazy amounts of money, but it's original art. There's only one. So that's why it happens, because there's only one. I don't know.
So maybe it's kind of like that. The upper echelon of investors and collectors, those that are worth tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, they're unaffected because they're playing in that realm. And it feels like the very bottom is where it's mayhem, because the people at the bottom are dealing with a second-year Trae Young Prism PSA 10 they thought was going to sell for $90, and now it's $20. And it's kind of like craziness because the supply is out of control. That's where demand is really out, going up and down all over the place. But on the high end level, it's just supply is extremely low, and we have enough people or industries or whatever funds worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to be able to get that cream of the crop product.
Yeah, I do think though that, and maybe it's just the optimist talking, because I do take a long-term approach to a lot of this stuff, is that Steve, I'm okay holding a lot of the stuff for a long period of time. I think there'll be another cycle. I think there'll be another cycle in 15, 20 years, even if it just flattens and we don't see any sort of huge, money pouring in or whatever on kind of that lower to middle tier stuff, like what you're talking about. I just think that it's all going to happen again because sports cards have been around forever. And people are going to remember this time in their life, with the pandemic and with everything else. It's going to be 2020 is going to be an important date. I think in 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years. So I think that even if it does kind of flatten out, which, like we talk about, for me, that's just a buying opportunity. If it drops and flattens out or whatever, or if we have more of kind of a normal ebb and flow, I'm okay with that. I'll just be able to get in on stuff I couldn't get in on earlier.
Yeah, I think, look, the rare stuff, the autos, the jersey cards, the serial number, all that stuff is fine. It's just before, those prices were pretty crazy as well. And now it's like the bottom stuff has just tanked. It seems like that stuff, I don't know the exact prices of a lot of the serial numbered cards now versus a couple months ago, but at least we know if this whole market is supply and demand, at least we know the supply side. And I think that's the whole point with the Optic Hollows and some of the others is I'm getting to the point where I don't want to get in on a card that I don't know the demand or the supply. At least I want to know the supply, and then I can try and figure out the demand side. And that's where maybe 1,000 PSA 10s or less will be my limit for the newer stuff or for like the less proven. And if it's like a Kobe PSA 9 rookie card, and I know it's such a great card overall that even though there's 4,000 of them, at least it's a Kobe rookie card I'm okay with. But I think that's more the evolution in my own mind of I got to at least nail the supply side, and especially with the 2019 and 2020 classes, I'm like, I don't want to touch these cards because the supply is so unknown. And I've seen that happen with, the Kyler Murray Prism PSA 10s I bought. I got a great deal on them because even now I'm looking at them sell for about $450, but I got mine for $360 to $405 back in January. But that's also a very long, that's a long time ago. And then also to flip them maybe in a couple months and maybe they go up to $500, $550. That's a long time to hold a card for $100 profit per card or $150. I'm not going to complain about it, but I also see that pop go up every single month by $200, $300, $400. So I know that every time I look at it, there's going to be more competition on eBay every single time. So,
I think so too. I think part of the big slowdown with cards is PSA shutting down. I think too that once PSA opens back up, I do think that people kind of enjoy playing that arbitrage game with PSA, assuming that they get down to price points to where it makes sense. Like right now there's one option at a $300 price point. It's like there's not too many cards that you're going to send in and take the risk on at 300, but even if they get it down to 75, $100, there's a lot of cards. It opens it up for a lot of cards then, to where there could be an arbitrage there. And I think that kind of that's a piece of the hobby, even though that's not something that I've done any of as far as like buying raw to grade. I think that's something that's really missing right this second. And I think once the grading companies kind of just gather themselves through this next couple of months, I think that'll help. I'm not saying it's going to be like what it was a year ago, but I don't think it can hurt if the grading companies are all back on and doing their thing.
Yeah, I think the way I see the whole market shifting is that, look, we've had a crazy year since February 2020. You got in before me, but since that, it's been incredible what 1 year could do in a specific market. And now entering the real second year, I think this is more of like a maturing phase where the people that are still in are going to be way smarter, a lot less naive, and a lot less, I'd say like foolishly optimistic, like where it's just, I buy for this and then I sell for more next week because that's how it's been. I think everyone that's still in from 6 months or a year ago has had a negative experience in one way. And that could just mean paying at the top of a market to see the card drop down 3 weeks later to half the price, to the point where people are just understanding, okay, I'm starting to get it. I start to understand how it works. All the different pieces are starting to come together. And so PSA opening back up, that will help somewhat, but there's not going to be the same level of 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s cards hitting PSA. So I think that's going to like level out. And then I think the profit margins aren't going to be nearly as wild as we've seen in the past. And I think there have been a few people that have mentioned that in the comments over several videos where they say, do you really think that the profits will remain 50% or 2x on a lot of these cards? And I can't imagine that sustaining with a smarter demographic or a smarter, collector and investor base after 6 months and a year. And then all the content that is being put out on, here's, this is what I learned. This is what happened. I lost money here, or I sold at this point. People are getting wiser and wiser. So maybe 30% profit will be a lot more of a standard than, 2.5.
Yeah. They can see all the ways we lost money.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, don't be high when you buy. Yeah, for sure. Anything that you're seeing going forward, maybe this summer, because I think it's a weird time now. Anything like pattern-wise you think is going to happen in the next few months?
Well, and I think the one thing that doesn't change is you still have people that are kind of betting. You're kind of betting on players to do well, or that part doesn't change. So I think if you have a player that's maybe underpriced based on what the market thinks they're going to do in an upcoming season, for example, that's where you can say, okay, there might be some arbitrage with this particular player, and you can do well if you're right. I think that part doesn't really change.
No, well, the thing is, that's the excitement. That's also the gambling. That's maybe less investing, more gambling, but that is fun because if you are right,
it's all speculating. Yeah, it's all speculating.
Yeah, and that's a very important part. Look, you have the gambling from opening packs, and then you have the gambling or the speculating from buying a player that you think will do better or benefit in some way. That's fun. You know, it sucks when you're wrong, but man, it is fun to do, and it's amazing when you're right. And I think, you know, the way I approach it is that I want to be the one getting in on that player before the speculators think about it, even if I'm only a couple weeks or a couple months ahead, and I'm waiting on the sideline with that card. Just like the Kyler Murray PSA 10s, I'm like, look, I think he's going to have a good 2021, 2022 year. However, if I could buy his cards in January at 360 to 400 and then sell for 550 before we even find out, I'm totally cool with that. I don't mind selling to speculators, because I think that's that's like who I'm really targeting, is with all these Prism cards. It's like, hey, it's a Prism PSA 10. It is a speculator's dream. You know, you'll be able to buy it and move it because it's a very popular card with a lot of data points. It's nothing too fancy. It's not, you know, you're not going after a collector with it. You're going after another speculator that believes in the player either as much as you or more, but they might just be believing in that player a month before the season starts versus 8 months before.
And I've talked about it too. I think that an interesting kind of potential arbitrage is the difference in price between PSA 10s and SGC and BGS. You know, I mean, it's like, it's kind of a, yeah, I saw that trigger finger. By the way, trigger finger makes the best, you know, memes of it was so awesome. We appreciate that, man.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's kind of arbitrage all over the place in you know, in this market. So yeah, are certain card prices down right now? Sure. But I mean, if you're a very short-term thinker, then, you know, you panic and, you know, all that. But, you know, I think that if you have to just take a more longer-term approach, even if that longer-term approach is 1 year, not necessarily just like 1 month, you know, I mean, and really think through your buys. You know, I really think through a lot of my buys because of that. It's like, am I going to be okay if I have to sit on this? Sit on it? Like literally? Or I have to literally sit on this. Yeah.
Don't buy Dustin's cars. It'll probably smell bad. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So I think getting in earlier is going to be a theme, because it's like, hey, buy off season has turned into such a common, such common knowledge that it's not really like you can't really use it. You can't just be like, season's over today, let me buy it. It's going to be like, all right, longer, less profit margin. And then I think in terms of the cards, I think that's when it'll really go to parallels a bit more. And I think card ladder, market movers, the more access people have to this stuff, I think the smarter people will get, and they'll realize what supply really is. Because I think a lot of people before were just going on eBay and buying the car that they would hear about without understanding the actual supply behind it. I think now there are going to be other parallels that pop up. But in terms of the current situation with it being soft, is there anything that really stands out to you as to why it's soft? Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. And I think it's kind of like what you said. We went through like the massive spike where you had money pouring in. And so it's like, you know, you have cards that went up 5%, you know, 500%, and now they're down 50%, you know, and it's like, but they're still up from where they were, you know, it's like, you know, it's more realistic. It was just such like a rocket ship surge that it was bound to, I don't know, you know, whether you throw around the word correction or whatever it is, you know, and that's the thing, because these are so speculative, all this stuff, no one knows, nobody has an idea. I remember last March, and I'm sure a lot of people were in the same boat, March 15th, when, you know, the pandemic hit, prices came down on stuff. It was short lived, but I remember on certain cards, I was waiting, you know, I like didn't buy them because I'm like, oh, these cards are sinking. They're going to keep sinking. And then they ended up, you know, storming back, and then ended up going through the roof. So I guess that's the point. Nobody really knows. And the assumption, of course, of that, like, all right, we're hitting I mean, think about the news from March of 2020. All right, the country's shutting down. You know, all these people are going to lose jobs. You know, I mean, and I know that some would say like, okay, we had stimulus. Sure, we had some stimulus. Fine, that's a part of the equation. But you know, it's still what I mean. My thought was is that cards. I did not think that cards were going to. There he is. There's our guy.
GD always lights me up.
Don't worry, Dustin will be grazing
chat.
shortly. In about 18 minutes, Dustin will be on his grazing way.
I almost brought food.
I had to completely ruin your train of thought just to put that up. I'm going to be plowing through this cake, but it definitely won't be a graze. It will be a domination. But
I almost brought food just for GD.
that needs to be a thing. Like, what is Dustin grazing on today? And every time it's a different snack.
Yeah, so I mean, we're just we hit a point where stuff's just kind of gone bonkers, and now it's coming back down some, and I think that's probably not a horrible thing. I mean, it's probably a good thing. So I don't know.
Here's the thing, man. Like, look, some people comment on the videos, market's crashing, like it's over. People said the exact same thing in October and November last year after the huge August spike. Now, I don't expect the spikes to continue just because I would imagine people get smarter. Like, hey, don't buy a card that's $3,000 today. That was only $500 a month ago, because you're stupid if you're doing that. But at the same time, human behavior is kind of like, oh, I just kind of like went with it and I thought it'd continue to go up. But look, cards, here's the thing. Here in the US, cards have had their coming out party. Last year was the coming out party for sports cards. That's when the craze hit and everyone went crazy. Internationally, I get all these comments, I bet you do too, where people are like, oh, I'd love for card shows to exist here. Oh, I wish I could get product like that here. There's so many parts of the world that have the interest, but that don't have the product or the platforms or resources to be able to participate. And I believe that it's getting closer every week and every month to being able to accommodate these people. So I'm hoping that. So even if the US is like, look, this is what it's going to be, there'll be people coming in, getting out. I still think there's like Europe and Asia that is 1% of what it will be, or maybe 10% of what it will be. And the desire is there. There's just all these pieces that have not been put together. But who knows? Maybe Panini and PSA and eBay and Star Stock and whatever have been working on things that will really open it up to China and I don't know, and different parts of Asia and Germany and Australia and all these other countries that we have people in the community that are fanatics about cards in, but there's not nearly the resources available. So that's what's given me a lot more optimism about the card space as a whole. The other thing is that living in LA, where there's 8 million people, I see a lot of movement. I think when you live in a big city, you notice a lot more human behavior just because you see a lot more people do something or something else. And everyone's out and about. Everyone's going on trips. All my friends are taking little, vacations. They're all getting vaccinated and going here. And it just makes sense that cards should soften out. It would not make sense if prices continue to go up now when there isn't stimulus and people are vaccinated, and when you can go to restaurants for the first time in a lot of cases in terms of states or in terms of feeling comfortable to go out. It would not make sense if card prices climbed right now. Like it just, however, if it was October and school is in session and everyone's back home and weather's cooled down and card prices were softening then I'd get a bit worried.
Yeah, one thing I've learned about, well, I think just starting the channel, I'd already seen it kind of online, but I'm sure you've seen it too, is there are some people that just want to be right about the crash. Our economy has always been kind of a boom bust type, it's been like that for decades now. And I think there's a lot of people that just want to be right about the crash. So they'll be talking about the crash for years until it happens. And it's like, see, I told you, I've been saying that for 20 years and here's the crash.
You know what I think? I wonder how many people that say the market's crashing, sell now, do whatever, are people that are actually buying. They're like, I want everyone to sell. I want everyone to panic sell right now because I believe it's fine. And I just want to make sure others are liquidating at pennies on the dollar so I can scoop it up. And I will say this, I know for a fact there are things going on media-wise and big things, big projects going on that no one really knows about that will come to surface. Like the big players, the big companies, they all have things in the works that the public doesn't know about, but once it hits, it will change the game. So I have complete faith in the card market. It's just I think this is a down period. And if it never spikes to the level where it's at in February, I'm okay with it because there's still genuine interest. And if you go to the card shows, dude, the one thing I wanted to get across from the video, the vlog video, is it doesn't matter if you buy a card or not. It is fun being in this community where we could talk about it. Like if you are just buying $10 cards, or you have zero interest in buying cards, you just kind of find it interesting. It's very easy to find friends and just have fun talking about it. And then like
JJ Bama really nailed it right here. 1980s Cabbage Patch Kids is where I've moved a lot of my money into. I can't get enough of those. My wife is not too crazy about all the Cabbage Patch Kids that are up in the rec room that are taking up the space, but I'm telling her, look, it's making a comeback. It's making a comeback.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
I'm grading all my Cabbage Patch Kids.
You're buying a lot of comics, aren't you? Like, are you even buying cards, or is it mostly like comics and random toys?
Well, yeah, no, I actually bought cards at the show, Brad. You were on eBay.
I bought cards.
You bought two Lonzo Ball cards to give to Jeff, and then you bought one off of eBay when there was nothing but cards in a room. And there was Dak Prescott. You couldn't have worked a deal for like Dak Prescott cards there.
So you think I'm going to get a deal on a Dak Prescott rookie card in Dallas when there's very little football on display, versus someone who probably lives in Alaska that's selling that card on eBay at an auction? I thought that was a good buy, by the way. It was a BGS 9.5 with 2 9.5s and 2 10 subgrades. And do you know if that converts into a PSA 10, or like the odds, the percentage of 2 9.5 subgrades and 2 10 subgrades being regraded to PSA as a 10? Anyone else? If you have experience with that, let us know in the comment section. Just a percentage, roughly, of 2 10s and 2 9.5s from BGS going to a PSA 10. Just complete rough. Like, I don't know if that's a 20% or an 80% chance, something like that.
So to answer the comic book question, and I actually I'm on a chat with Neo and Flippin' Steve on comics. I buy a lot of like vintage comics that are graded. I wouldn't say a lot. I mean, I buy like for example, I bought a Tales of Suspense. Dakota, buy comics, man. Tales of Suspense. Iron Man before he got his own comic book. Stuff like that is really cool to me. But there's a historical, like I wasn't a kid growing up reading those particular issues. I was reading the ones in 1990, but I can appreciate the history behind that early Marvel stuff. And even like I've been looking to it like early Superman, Batman stuff. You'd be surprised if we're talking about pop reports and we're talking about scarcity. There's fairly inexpensive, like 1940s. We're talking Batman, Superman comics that are under $500 graded. There's not that many of them. But anyway, that's my point. If you're paying attention to kind of like a supply demand, Superman, Batman are the most iconic characters outside of some of the Marvel ones. I mean, it's like if I'm long-term holding on that stuff, I feel pretty good about it. So I've been looking. I'm not buying a zillion comics, but I'm watching that stuff.
Yeah, I got a graded Playboy. Way better. I was going to say as a display piece, I'd rather go with Trigger Finger's idea. But I will say the thought that popped to my mind was in terms of displaying a comic, you have a way bigger visual than you do a card. So I think there is an element there. Plus, if damn, I got distracted by JJ's thing. Is my internet not connecting or what?
No, for some reason I could hear myself really loud on your end. I don't like the volume went way up on your side.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably was my internet connection. Dexflow is helping me out with that though. I will say
I've got fiber. Everything's great here.
Yeah, well, is with the movies that come out, it's like Batman will never die, Superman will never die. I think it's kind of like the whole Pokemon thing, except I believe way more in Superman and Batman than in Pokemon, to be honest, in terms of the brand.
Yeah, I tried to get into Pokemon and I just couldn't get into it. I wanted to, and it just wasn't happening. So I'm sticking with this. Look, you can't buy everything. You can't know everything, can't research everything. So I'm sticking with that.
Okay. So for the national, what are you going to be targeting? I know it's a bit far out. Anything on your mind?
I'm probably just going. Well, you know what? I'll make that decision leading up to it because I mean, what is it? It's end of May. You know, we've got 2 months before that show. We'll have to see what happens between now and 2 months, and just kind of see where the market is. And based on that, I'll be looking to buy. But we'll see. I mean, you know, a lot of it too is just dependent on what does pricing look like. Are the dealers overpricing? Are they underpricing? Are they, how does it look? I've never been to a national, so I've heard it's like monstrous as far as how many tables and everything. I mean, I will buy some stuff. I just don't know what it's going to be yet.
What about you?
Selling? I might bring some stuff, or you know what I might do is just sell before I get there, so I just have cash. Because that's what I was thinking too.
By the way, guys, Dustin's going to be walking around the show with a lot of cash.
Oh, no. I won't have the cash. I'm not going to I won't have the cash. I'll PayPal or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll PayPal.
Yeah, you'll PayPal.
Anyone that watches my show knows that I'm like the dad, and like I'm not bringing a bunch of cash to a show. I think it's like there's no way I'm bringing big cash to a show. It'll never happen.
I mean, for me, what I plan on doing for the National is selling football if I don't sell it locally. And then, I mean, honestly, the way I see it is that July could be the time to sell football and buy basketball because basketball will be far out. The money should be flowing to football, whatever money there is. I think it'll be fine. But I do not expect basketball to be selling for a premium. And so maybe I just sell football. Maybe at the National, there's not much basketball at low prices because everyone's trying to liquidate football. And then I'm on eBay at night with my profits, hopefully, and buying in on Zion optic hollows and Luca blue velocities and whatever else that I feel is good.
I'm going to get those, Brad. Stop copying me.
Here's the thing. People will forget about this in 2 months' time. Don't worry. We'll be fine. The Funko Pop. Okay. I look at these Funko things. I'm like, these things are hideous. They look like, I don't know, a weird little cartoon that I could never really understand. So I never got into Funko. I didn't go to the store here. It's just too, I don't know. There's a disconnect. I need the athlete to look like the athlete, not like some big head, beady-eyed little creature. You know what I mean? Like if I want to buy a bobblehead or something of the athlete or the character, I want it to actually look like.
I'd rather collect like rare trolls with like the big hair. You remember those little things?
Yes.
Like, yeah, I want the one on. I'd rather have like.
To be fair, you're already collecting rare trolls on your channel.
It's a good
and
point.
I don't know what their hair looks like, but it could be pretty crazy looking hair too.
GD, did you hear that? GD, did you hear that?
Get him, GD. Get him. I'm looking for your comment. I'm looking for your rebuttal.
Trolling the trolls.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's video, trolling the trolls.
And then they had the Prism Funko, which, I mean, I'm not interested in personally, but I don't know how many people out there are, but I'm fine with it. Whatever Panini wants to do in different sectors, I'm fine with. I'm still waiting for celebrity cards. If they did celebrity cards, I would be all over it because from a collectible standpoint, yes, I want a Leonardo DiCaprio card. That's way cooler than most of these athletes that
sounds horrible.
Won't last 3 years.
Brad's gonna lock in all the DiCaprio cards at the National. So
if there's a Leonardo DiCaprio, one of like numbered to 25 card of these celebrities, I would be 100% in because again, there are only a few athletes.
Brad, what did you buy at the show? Oh, you're not going to believe this. I got a piece
three
of Leo.
Three Leos and a Damon.
I got Leo DiCaprio's a strand of his hair for 10 grand.
And guess what? That's still going to be worth way more than damn Tyler Hero's number to 2 Prism Black refractor gold medallion, whatever. So
I want to see your video on that. Why I'm not buying Tyler Hero, but I have a strand of Leo DiCaprio's hair.
You know why? Because at least Leonardo DiCaprio has a ridiculous legacy. Tyler Hero has a small shot of ever being a great player. Maybe he'll just be a good player for several years, and then I would pay that level of money. But I'm not paying like last summer. I mean, I'm not going to make fun of Tyler Hero. I want to make fun of the prices at which his Prism reached last summer because that was just stupid. That was like the Bowl, the Taylor Horton Tucker, whatever else. I think those are the best examples. But Leonardo DiCaprio, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I'd love to get one of those cards. Ryan Reynolds, I think one of my favorite actors, one of the funniest dudes. all those guys, and of course, like I wouldn't say Pam Anderson, Cameron Diaz. Totally get like her rookie card, especially if it had like a little piece of her bra or something. That'd be totally hot.
I mean, I could go for like a Salma Hayek rookie.
Appreciate your honesty, Charles. Very vulnerable right there.
But who didn't? Well,
dude. And I mean, like the coolest thing, and you've seen it on the other Dallas vlogs, is sports.collector. I think it's sports.collector. Matt, he had the Benjamin Franklin diary notes with a little, what's it called? Not an imprint, but like
the wax seal.
Wax seal of his ring. That's way better than most of the cards out there. It's Benjamin Franklin.
Touched corners. I like that. Grumpy card dude. Instead of go back to that comment. Instead of calling the show off-centered, call it touched corners or something.
Touched corner. Okay.
Touched corners would be more fitting.
Well, I'm going to follow it up with this one right here. Letter to one of his hoes. I was telling Matt, I was like, it'd be so funny if it just said, "Hey girl, you up?" Like just you, but in the most like sophisticated script writing where it looks super fancy. It's like, "Hey girl, you up?" And that's it. Okay, now what?
I don't know. It's your show. Are you going to bring up another topic, or
is there another topic? What else are we going to talk about, man?
I
mean, dude,
I figured you just ramble on for 7 minutes about Leonardo DiCaprio.
You know, the one thing I wish I got more footage of at the Dallas show was your sweatpants and dress loafer combination.
Oh, and my sweatshirt. There was a comment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see if I could bring it up. In fact, this will be good. Let's bring up all the comments that we saw on my vlog video regarding Dustin. Okay, there's GD. Personal grazing cow, nom nom nom. This grass is delicious, nom nom nom. Big year for Jamal Murray, nom nom. Let's see.
GD spends 3 hours of his day going through what the comments are going to be.
Well, you know what? It's a good use of his time because it makes me laugh. Okay, there was one on your sweater though. Oh, there we go. Best thing you could do for PFD is help him not go so cringe with his thumbnails.
So my thing though, Tampa Home Investors, is Brad.
I'm not a miracle worker. I'm going to like my own comment right there.
Yeah. My thing though is Brad has equally cringy thumbnails though. So that's my only.
No, mine are good. Mine are good. Hold on a second. How much I ate for lunch? Yeah, we already touched on that. I feel like Dustin needed a beer or something to loosen up.
Yeah, Steve. So I was actually focused on buying cards at the show and trying to actually figure out
instead of being comfortable. Instead of being comfortable.
Instead of being comfortable, right?
And then I responded, "We got Dustin hammered later in the show. He was dancing shirtless on one of the vendors' tables. He paid me to never air the footage." Yes, I might release that anyway. And then where's the one with your sweater? Oh, look at this. Oh, that doesn't say cringe. Oh, okay. That's a great thumbnail. How about that? And then right above it, does Dustin only have one zip-up sweater? He should flip into some more clothing.
Yeah, so I spent all my money on cards. That's the only sweater that I can afford at this point.
And when I bought on eBay and I saved my money so I could actually get some other clothes, even though I'm wearing the same Tom Brady jersey that was gifted me.
I was gonna say you were just lucky that a guy gave you a jersey at the show.
Well, maybe because he knew I didn't have many clothes. So maybe this is important because now people know that you don't have many shirts and sweaters. If you see Dustin at the National, what I want you to do is to bring a hideous shirt for him to have and take home with him. And you'll have to wear it on a live stream. At least he wasn't chowing down on peanuts.
Oh, Eric is the other guy that always talks about look, guys, I've done probably 50 plus live streams over the last year. The one time I ate food on a live stream, these dudes lit me up and won't let it go. I love it. But you know what? I'm happy that you're watching. Happy that you're watching.
There it is. There it is. I didn't really understand this comment, but I did put a lol. Yeah. I think I didn't understand it, so I just responded, Dustin needs to stop a lot of things. But I wasn't exactly sure where this came from. Dustin needs to stop smoking. I caught him in the parking lot. Were you actually smoking?
I'm not a smoker. I'm
You
not.
don't strike me as a smoker because, like, you're not cool enough to be able to do that.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. And I don't smoke. Let's see. The way the food he puts away. Those people were trying to read the sign on Dustin's back. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. So you had no idea I was doing that? Because, like, even when you said, "Hey, Brad, did you get that footage? Did you get it?"
I had no idea.
Perfect setup.
I had no idea the whole time. You know, yeah, like I said, I was actually concentrating on the show.
Chris R., I wouldn't really say it's a friendship. It's more of like a business partnership where I benefit from making fun of Dustin and he accepts it.
Yeah, we both benefit, I suppose, from that same deal.
All right. But honestly, it was really cool to see you and Boris and Flip and Steve and everyone else. It was like, this was just a good time. It was just like getting together with the guys.
It was good how it didn't feel like we didn't skip a beat. It wasn't like an awkward, like, you know, we had to, you know, settle in. I thought that was really cool. We just kind of, you know, I mean, I met Brad and then 5 minutes later we were on a live stream. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, it was a very awkward handshake in the parking lot. I mean, I wish we would have met knowing that we were going to run into each other in the hotel parking lot as you were headed out to eat.
Well,
and I was headed back.
Yeah, so when I met Brad, I was walking like through a parking lot to go get food. Brad was walking back looking down at his phone. I had just texted him, and I think I said like, "Hey, dork," or something to get your attention. And you were walking back with Chipotle. And then we were like, "Oh, hey, you know, awkward hello."
Well, I was distracted by your business loafers and gray sweatpants, so I didn't even know what to think. And honestly,
and colorful socks.
Oh, yeah. It's like one of those looks that a supermodel could pull off, but then everyday folk try to do, and it just doesn't work.
You like a supermodel? Well, it makes sense. It makes sense. It worked, man. It worked.
You know what was weird is actually seeing you have legs, because that was the first time I saw your legs. Like, because every single video I've seen is just pretty much chest up, and that's it.
Well, I didn't think you were a 6'6" praying mantis.
Dude, I was like, and I got a wingspan of like 7'3".
I thought you were going to try to dunk on me or something.
If there was a court there, if there was a hoop behind you. Yeah, dude, that's exactly what it was. It was kind of like the hug at the end of Step Brothers, where it kind of goes from hug to high five to just like mutual attempt. Yeah. But anyway, dude, it was great seeing you. Any last thoughts before we head off? Because obviously I've got to pee and you have grazing to do. I've got cake devouring ahead of me. Yeah,
I mean, this was an hour longer than I wanted it to be. So, no, I feel pretty good about it. Yeah. Until next week, my friend. And actually, in all seriousness, it was good to meet you. And I'm glad that, you know, this has all kind of come about. This has been fun.
Yeah. So, guys, if you are thinking of going to the National, I would just run the numbers, do what you can to be there just as an experience. It doesn't have to pay off. It's just a fun time. And because it is Chicago, at least, you know, if you want to make it like a vacation part of the time, maybe you could do that. But I just encourage.
And also, like what you had said about, like, you know, reconnecting with childhood and stuff like that. That's what it kind of did for me too. I kind of got that feeling of like, okay, I'm at a big card show like 1990 when I was 10, you know, or whatever. That was awesome.
Because, you know, it's the same thing where I would see someone in a Lightning jersey or a Bucks jersey, and we have that connection where if you're at your home stadium, you can't really do that. But when you're in another city and you see your team represented and you could just talk about players and just thoughts and theories and who you like, dude, it's the same enjoyment as a kid, but I think it's even cooler because you don't get much of that as an adult, and as a kid, you get a lot more of it. So it made it that much more special. But with that, guys, have a great night. I've got to pee. Dustin, thanks for coming on. Until next time.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.